Thanks for being with us. Coach Steve Sabins coming up 12-0. West Virginia University baseball team. I'm live today in Brooklyn, New York. I want to thank Killer Carl for filling in for me. And Carl, that great backdrop you had, especially the gumball machine, is absolutely a 10. It made me very jealous. But great job, Carl. We're in Crown Heights, of all places, Brooklyn. I know Steve Sabins has been there. And he's going to be coming up here in one moment. And it's great to have him with us. Great to be coming on our show when you're running the first place team right now in the Big 12 at 12-0. And they got a big home series coming up against Kennesaw State. That's going to be Friday, 2 o'clock, Saturday, 2 o'clock. And then Saturday, 2, and then Sunday afternoon games. This gets a little chilly right now in Morgantown, but we rock at home. I can't wait for these games. The team is off to a tremendous start. We're going to have Steve Sabins joining us right now. This segment brought to you by our great friend, Rocky Simmons at Ask Vision Homes. You know, for over 30 years, Vision Homes has built hundreds of custom homes right here in the Morgantown area and surrounding areas. This guy's phenomenal. Now, their expert team, they'll design and build a brand new custom home that fits your style and your budget. And they'll do it from the ground up because they work with you. They find out exactly what you want. Best of all, they lock in your price before you start to build. Now, who does that? So therefore, your budget is guaranteed. Now, you say, well, John, I don't have any land. Rocky, I don't have any land. Don't worry about it. Vision Homes can help with that too. And whether you're a first-time home buyer looking for an upgrade, or maybe you're an empty nester and you want to get a downgrade, it doesn't matter. You can build your dream home right here in the area and simplify your living space if you're trying to downsize and make it custom to everything you need. Just ask Vision Homes. Invest just an hour with them, and they'll walk you through the easy step-by-step home building process and answer any questions that you may have. This is a family company like mine. It's a family company like Steve Sabins ever met his. Wherever he goes, he takes his family. We're all family guys. This is one big family community. AskVisionHomes.com and see how simple it is to build the home that you want. Just go to AskVisionHomes.com. AskVisionHomes.com, and you're good to go. Joining us now, University, West Virginia baseball coach Steve Sabins.
Thanks
Coach,
a
great
lot
to
for
have
having
you.
me, John. How you doing?
Never better. I'm all got my West Virginia garb on. We're in, Ann and I are in Brooklyn right now, but obviously we're heading back to the Berg so we can get to these games. Hey, by the way, everybody, if you want to check everything out about West Virginia athletics, got a new website. It's really cool. WVSportsNation.com. WVSportsNation.com. Check it out. You're going to love everything there. We cover everything. We'll have a pregame selection for tonight's men's game. So you want to check that out. Coach, you're 12-0. This is your first year coach. You win your first 12 games. What has impressed you most about this team going into your home series coming up against Kennesaw
Has to
State?
be the
Coach?
depth of the team. We've talked about that a few times throughout the fall and this spring, but we've pitched 18 different pitchers and played 16 different position players. So you're talking about 34 different guys have entered the game. Once conference starts in 2 weeks, when we head over to Oklahoma State, you have to have a 30-man roster. So if you look across the country, I bet there's only a few teams that have played 34 players. So it just shows how deep the roster is. There's talented players that aren't playing at all. There's talented players that are getting spot at bats. There's talented players that are getting a few innings. But when you build a quality team and you have motivated individuals that understand this team concept that we're trying to build, I've been most impressed with the depth. And then when people do get their opportunities, doing well with those opportunities. So you only have depth if people perform well, and people performed well without necessarily having consistent at-bats or consistent outings all the time. So they've been able to stay sharp throughout the first 12 games with not necessarily having defined roles yet. So that part has been incredible. It makes it hard to write the lineup every day. That's for dang sure. We have, I think right now our leading hitter didn't play the first series of the year at all, in Jace Reinhardt. So just some unique storylines of players that have kind of stayed tough, stayed engaged, got better, and then got their opportunities and seized it. I think our two top hitters are Chase Swain and Jace Reinhardt, and I don't think that they've started more than half the games up to this point. So for me, that's more the storyline. And then the toughness of the kids. We played 9 games in 10 days in 3 different states, and we just got back from that. So that's a pretty grueling 10-day set there. But it's been a lot of road games, 11 out of 12, 1 home game. So getting to come back and get a little bit of sleep and get our feet under us is what we need right now.
So, Coach, it's just been a phenomenal start. Obviously, you can only win the games that you play. So we'll talk about your strength of schedule in a minute. But one of your big dilemmas now is rules give you 27 people. So how do you go from 40 to 27 in a week?
Well, thankfully, it's 30. So that rule had changed a little bit. So we go from 40 to 30 when you go to compete. The good part is I was in professional baseball, they literally optioned out, get guys down to AAA, to AA. They bring them back to the big leagues. They can do that as they see fit. And that's essentially what a team is. We have 40 players that have made this team that are very important to this team winning. And so who you decide to go play with for a conference series doesn't necessarily, that's who you'll decide to play with the next series and the following series. So it only applies to conference series. So you theoretically could be a starting pitcher on a Tuesday and go a complete game, not travel with the team and not be part of a 30-man, and then come back to campus and start the next midweek. Not that happens normally because you want guys to be involved with the team as much as you can. But basically you have 40 guys and only 30 can enter a game. So you have to choose who those 30 are before the game. But it's difficult. It's extremely difficult. We talked to our team yesterday just about every opportunity matters. The sim game that we played outside yesterday matters because there's a lot of guys on that border where you're really trying to make a decision between a left-handed power bat, a right-handed power bat, a speed player versus a contact player, a left-handed pitcher versus a right-handed pitcher, a power breaking ball versus a guy that throws a better fastball but may walk more players. So the margin is a much, much smaller to decide what gives you the best chance to win every game. But everybody that's on this team is part of it, and it's constant evolution. There's probably a core of players who have eaten up the most playing time. Maybe that's 15, maybe that's 18 players. And then you have a lot of guys that are developing. Maybe they're freshmen or sophomores, or they're getting their feet wet, or they're getting more playing time, or their roles are evolving. There's a million different stories, but I could talk about that all day, John, because it's probably the thing I'm most passionate about is making sure that these young dudes get their fair shake and their opportunities, and them recognizing that every moment is an opportunity for them, to prove themselves in practice. So that part will be the least fun thing. I wish we had 40 guys could just go and be part of this every single day, right? That's what you'll want, but those are the rules. And so we'll make the decisions that we have to.
You're on the John Fredericks Media Network, Trucking the Truth Across America. This is a special edition with West Virginia University head baseball coach Steve Sabins. Now, home series coming up, Kennesaw State. Tickets are available. Get this, folks, for the first time in history, West Virginia baseball season tickets are sold out. Unheard of. We never got over 50% since we've been there. They're sold out. You can't get another season ticket, but you can buy game day tickets. Very easy to do. Just go to WVU, WVUbaseball.com, WVUbaseball.com, and you can follow the links there. And I want to see you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Coach, there's been some people saying, well, look, 12-0, but strength of schedule full. And you got Kennesaw State coming in this week. But then, you're going to Stillwater, got to do conference play a week from this weekend. And guys aren't going to be facing, pitchers throwing 91 that came from a junior college. They're going to be facing Big 12 conference, big time 97s, 95 fastballs, better curveballs, better sliders. What's going to be that adjustment you have to make?
I don't think any adjustment. It's always a game where you're competing against yourself. Our guys are prepared to handle all those things. And the reality is that it's not football, right? When you go play Grambling, if you're Alabama and you go play Grambling in football, you got a massive difference in just pure athleticism, NFL talent across the board. So the teams that we have played are extremely talented, quality teams. It's kind of funny this early in the year when you're determining strength of schedule on the baseball side, you could play a national championship team and it was a mid-major school and you could beat them 4 times in a row and West Virginia's strength of schedule would be terrible. And that team could go on to win the national championship. And then all of a sudden your strength of schedule looks a lot different over the course of a season. So it's way too early to determine strength of schedule because if the teams that we have played up to this point go tear up the ASUN and they have success in their midweeks, and a few of those teams that we played compete for conference championships in the regular season and in the tournaments, that story will be much, much different. So you never know. My philosophy going into it is that you try to schedule these teams that have a chance to win their conference. So you don't try to schedule cupcakes. You don't try to schedule teams that are historically bad. So every year there's variations in your schedule, but I'll be very surprised if a few of those teams that we've played up to this point aren't very good and are vying for, winning championships in their conferences. Our league is obviously, if not the best, one of the best in the nation. So the talent level will absolutely rise across the board. And it's more about depth, right? So like if you play a smaller school, maybe their Friday, Saturday starters could do that for anybody in the country or have a role on any team. But then the back end of the bullpen you see is not as strong. That's certainly the case. So sometimes it's more of like a waited out because you're going to get to the bullpen and win. Whereas a lot of times these better teams or more complete teams, you need to put on the gas a little bit earlier. You need to beat the guy that's in the game right now and get him out. So I'm excited. I think preseason Oklahoma State and Arizona were the 2 highest ranked Big 12 teams in the nation. And that's who we start Big 12 play with. So you start at Oklahoma State and then Arizona comes to our place in Morgantown. I just had a whole meeting with our team yesterday, though, John. Is like, if I'm talking about Oklahoma State, we're about to get our ass kicked by Kennesaw State because they got good players. They're in the heart of Georgia, next to one of the biggest recruiting areas in the country in Lake Point sports. And so as far as recruiting goes, they're going to have pro-level talent on that roster without a doubt. Whether they play good, win games, we'll see. But we have to stay focused on Kennesaw State. You start looking ahead, you know what happens. So that's the message to the team.
Yeah, and I think they're a better team than their record shows. As you say, they have a lot of talent there. So you guys have got to, come out to play, win those 3 games, and then I think you've got a game midweek, and then you go off to Stillwater, which takes you like 5 days to get there or something. But so that's always it.
Camels.
That, we always talk about that. Like, I mean, you can't get there, right? You got to go. You got to fly. You got to go from West Virginia, drive to Pittsburgh, go to Oklahoma City, fly through Charlotte or something, then take a bus 2 hours to get there. It's kind of ridiculous. But they have the Arizona's got to come to us. It's not easy to get from Phoenix to Morgantown. So the tables turn, and that's why we're so tough. And on one of the reasons and you got to come to these home games, folks. If you're anywhere in the area, I mean, this just our stadium, Kendrick Family Ballpark, is going to be rocking on Friday afternoon, Saturday, and Sunday. So come out and do that. Coach Penn has been. Just not to say anything, but I did tell you at the beginning. I thought that was going to be a power element of your team. They've been lights out.
Absolutely.
I mean, one arm after the other that you bring in. They got great stuff. It's like I thought at the beginning, you get a lead in the 6th or 7th inning, this game's over. Those guys have been just awesome.
They've been incredible. One of the best bullpens in the nation up to this point. And it's been, like you said, it's one guy after another. I think maybe the most unique story at this point is that we got a player that is certainly capable of starting, but we've used him kind of in an interesting way. Carson Estridge. We've been kind of calling him our long closer because he's came in the 4th or 5th inning 3 times and finished the game. So that's kind of unheard of. He's basically closing the game out in the 4th or 5th inning, and 2 of his outings the reliever has thrown longer than the starter and won the game and saved the game. And so it's just been a really cool story. And it takes a pretty unique personality to be able to warm up, come in a leverage spot, minimize any damage, and then run the table. And so
right.
He has no ego at all. He easily could be a starter. We could slate him in as one of the top 3 starters every week, but he doesn't care. He just says, Coach, if you give me the ball, I'll pitch for you. I'm just excited to get the ball. Let me know how I can help the team. And whenever he gets the ball, he performs at such a high level. He does not worry about role or title. He just wants to pitch and wants to win the game. So he's a thing of beauty. Right now, our man Carson Estridge has 15 innings. The leader on our team has 17. So a reliever has 15. He has a 0 ERA. He hasn't given up a run. 10 hits, 1 walk, and 11 strikeouts. Opponents are hitting 185 against him. So he's just been incredible for a really long time, 3 weeks in a row. The starting pitcher's been great. The bullpen's been excellent. It's really hard to find a weakness on the pitching staff at this point, and there'll be some guys that get exposed at some point, but it's a 2.66 ERA for the team. So everyone's doing their job. That's just what it comes down to. If you're 12-0 and your statistics are good, people are doing their jobs up to this point. So there's more challenges ahead if we can continue to do that and playing different competition, like you said. But very proud of how these guys have gone about their business. And I think a big piece of it, John, is the preparation, right? We talked about like 9 games in 10 days, 3 different states. Young people aren't consistent because it comes down to hydration and fueling and strength and conditioning and distractions and all those things. So they've been able to stay not only mentally strong, but physically strong over this 3-week period where we've been on the road. So big kudos to our strength and conditioning staff, athletic trainer, nutritionist. Those people have done incredible work.
Well, it takes everybody working together. I got a question here texted to me from one of your close friends and one of the sponsors of WVU baseball, Rocky Sabins. He said, "Hey, I got a question for Coach Sabins. I'd like to hear his theory on putting the batting lineup together. We have several guys who have batted in different positions. So curious, what is your strategy as to where power, speed, hot bat? Where do you go? How do you put your lineup together?" Question by your good buddy Rocky Sabins.
That's a great question, Rocky. There's been a lot of lineups this year, as you know, and part of it is the strength of our team is its depth, but it's taken some time to find out where we want to place certain players. I think recently we feel like we hit the jackpot moving Brody Kresser to the leadoff. So on-base percentage, quality at bats is probably the number 1 priority in that leadoff spot. We moved Brody there this weekend, and he stayed for 4 games, and he was excellent. He had his best week as a Mountaineer. Tough at-bats, got on base, hit homers, drove in runs. The first guy in the lineup also has the most at-bats over the course of the season. So you want to make sure that when the 1 hole or the leadoff rolls around back to the top, you're not hoping to get to the 2 or 3 hole because sometimes the game is decided in that at-bat. And if the guy's sitting on deck that you want to win the game, that's a tough feeling. So leadoff hitter is very important. He's been great. Logan Sabins, one of our most talented hitters, one of our best guys. He stabilizes that 2-hole roll. We think if Kresser gets on base, because he's a very high on-base percentage guy, we have a good chance of going up 1-0 in the first inning with Logan Sabins hitting behind him. Same with Sam White, who's been a very consistent player. So Sam White is over a 300 career batting average, great at bats, mentality's excellent. There is no ups and downs emotionally. You know what you're going to get every day. So he helps stabilize that 3-hole. And then the 4-hole, we've moved around a lot recently. Kyle West displays the power. So you always have a chance for a homer, and you hope some of those really high-quality hitters in the 1 through 3 are on base for somebody to drive in a lot of runs, like a Kyle West. Jace Reinhart hit 4-hole this whole weekend, had his best weekend of his career, and now he's currently our leading hitter. He's hitting .435 with in 23 at-bats. He has 21 quality at-bats. So we really like Jace in that 4-hole. doesn't strike out, high quality hitter. And then also sometimes, Rocky, you start playing a little bit of matchups. If the opposing pitcher is nasty against left-handed pitching, for example, you might play more right-handed hitters. Or the opposing pitcher is so much better against right-handed hitters, you might stack your lineup and use maybe more of like a Barnett and a Peraza and a Guzman. But if you need more right-handed hitters, maybe you swing with Kelly and Swain, Cresser, and Alex Merritt. So we've had some of that freedom of mixing and matching with our players to beat their opposing pitcher. And then we got some guys that haven't had a ton of at-bats that are getting hot. Ben Lumsden had an excellent day yesterday. Ellis Garcia got his first hit of the season at Queens. So trying to bring some more dudes along as well. But I think in general, on base, drive them in. Best hitters need a hit more often than the guys at the bottom, and then spreading your lineup out so you have some speed, some power, some contact kind of throughout the lineup. You don't want 2 or 3 strikeout guys in a row, because all of a sudden you can start building an inning and you could have punch out, punch out, punch out. Not a good way to go. So continue to add some pressure on the defense throughout the lineup.
All right, Coach Steve Sabins with us. Don't forget, games at home, Friday night, Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. Season tickets sold out, but you can get game day tickets. Just go to WVUbaseball.com. You can get them right there. We want to see you on Friday night. This segment has been brought to you by WVSportsNation.com. Following everything, basketball, baseball, football's coming up, soccer, you name it, gymnastics, wrestling. Just interviewed Tim Flynn the other day. Wrestling, coach, everything right there, baby. Just go to WVSportsNation.com. WVSportsNation.com. Since they're getting Sabins on now, everybody wants in, right? Tim Flynn wants in. Greeny wants in. They all want in. See what
That's big. That's big, Johnny.
Steve Sabins
taking the world by storm.
Big time. WVSportsNation.com. We look forward to seeing you on Friday. Just follow that bookmark and you're good to go. Coach, thanks for being with us.